edges down. So if you want copies of that, you may order them from her.
The next thing on the agenda for today is picture taking. So I'm sure that we want to take pictures of the entire group. I don't have an idea of, you may want to take some pictures here. Where would be the best place to get the entire group picture taken? Any ideas on that? You can't do it inside. Would the front of the church, Nolan, be about the best place? Or?
Probably use the steps. Well, the trees are structure. I don't think. How about this little bank right here in front? If we use this kind of a little in front.
All right. For an entire family picture, is it too much shade there? That'll be all right. Okay, we'll move to the front of the cemetery, and there's an incline here, and we'll use that to help elevate.
What do you think? Now, where do you guys fit? Yeah, right over here. Right over here. Yeah, right here. Come on, Rick. Yeah, that over there. Right down here. On your knees. On your knees. On your knees.
How many you want, Pete?
This is not what you're going to call ideal by any chance.
Need a wide angle lens?
Wider, Jenny! Can you do that again, Jenny? Okay, now just a minute, Dad. All right. Yeah, hang on, Ron. Come on in here. You have a friend of mine. Take it easy. We got to make it complete, Ron. Come on. Come on, Ron. It has to be complete.
All right, that's it.
One more. Everyone done? Thank you. Okay, Landis family. I got the one around your neck. I'll let somebody from Landis family organize it. Picture? Okay.
Hey.
I gotta get out of there.
Yeah. You will be if you don't move. That's good. Take another one. Okay.
All the photographers in the back side there.
Oh, okay.
Okay, one more.
Yeah.
Okay, let me get one.
We got right here. Yeah, we got a few more.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, now hold it. There's a face back here. We have to regroup. Okay, do we have all faces now? Hey, we should have got that right then. These are showing mosquitoes, right? Oh, yeah. She set the children among the whole.
Yes, sir, the man at work.
Spot of the video is on the table under the speaker, right over there. Near Ronnie's head. Ronnie, wave your hand. There's the donation box. So keep your hand up, though. Coffee and iced tea will be here on your left. The food will go through the double line. And there's water in the big igloo container on the front. We have pie for dessert. That'll be brought around to the table. Okay? My mother, Amelia, Kurt Stepwaller, will be giving the blessing on the meal. This is a special blessing. Her mother gave this very often at the meals at their home throughout the years. So this will be read by my mother, Amelia. Amen. Thank you, Mom. Okay, we'd like for Mom, Sarah, and Vernon, and Dad to come to the line first. Yes, yes. John, Ann, Susie. Better get a can here, Jack, John.
Eighth grade.
I don't know if it's set down. I have a large had a baby. Not yet. I'll let you know. Sarah's hungry.
I sure am. Right.
Yeah.
No, you don't.
Heidi just left out.
Oh, well.
And on butter king.
Yeah, I saw her.
That's a fine looking one.
Hey. I like that one.
Yeah, we put that.
What are you going to spoil with veggies?
Here, I'm not like this one.
Only got that.
I'll get you a bag. Say you got something. Hi, Becky.
Tater salad? Tater salad? Yellow salad?
You like what the white
I was just getting back. I'll fill in that course. That's mine.
I'm not used to that so far. Put this right in your other plate.
Okay, I'll get you one. Are you disappointed?
No, all we need is some applesauce to go over the whole thing.
Oh, no.
I know. I felt mad up that money.
Is there a limit on how many credit cards you have?
Hello, fellas.
Hi, how are you?
It's a long time since I've seen you.
Well, yeah. All around here, huh?
Oh, no, I'm just about half on that road.
Oh, did you?
You're here. When they came home, they saw my car. I wasn't there. They just said I was at your house. Oh, Heritage Place. You didn't get one.
I think so. Did Steph and Matt both get one? Well, then it must be Ricky. Okay, you want to go right there?
They're on my pocketbook. Okay, Pops.
What?
Oh, we can't get strapped.
Oh, is that right? I live there.
Keep it nice.
Jackson?
You went to Jackson to go shopping? Everybody in Jackson. Everybody in Jackson goes to Walmart.
Here, let's put that right there and get your wallet.
Mine's ice cream. What kind of cake?
Oh, yeah, there should be.
how long these people have had reunions. The older they are, the longer they take so that the
Well, they're not coming back.
Really?
That's the time I said. Don't call us at 8 o'clock.
Wait for
Oh, did you?
No, I didn't. Get ready.
I'll get you a cup.
I wasn't here.
Oh.
You wouldn't? 7 turned they brought some.
Yeah, why did they? You were talking about kind of.
We got skills.
One has bunch of them.
We got a whole lot of them there.
Well, very nice ladies. Very nice.
I left my job in.
That's right. It looks good, Marilyn.
Well, come back later. Tell us.
Oh, my goodness, you're standing right in front of the camera.
Oh, my goodness. Is it going?
Yeah.
Oh.
Oh, my. Oh, my word. Who's doing that? I don't know. I just discovered. I saw the light like a barrel.
Where's the charter? Let's see. Hi, Mom.
I'm not going out there anymore. You just...
Hey, Mom, we don't have any charters for us.
Okay, sorry.
Oh, that's the one?
Thank you. Somebody's going to
They will.
That was
Running. Okay.
So exciting. Boy, all people we've never seen before. Joel, make sure your voice is recognizable.
No, that would be on. Talk through the traffic. That has to stick it out. What's that?
You know. You broke a
We have to sing. Keep them. Never scared. Be careful.
Start getting into the swing of things.
Everybody wants to connect that.
Please do that. We want to make a quick trip to the restrooms. Men's and women's out back to the church. Another restroom down here, down the aisleway going at the exit here. Calvin wanted to know what happened to the two restrooms that used to be out in the woods. The woods is still there, but there's not much undercover anymore.
I didn't show you this, did I? Did I? No.
Looking. We were all thinking,
I wonder.
yeah, it wasn't really that big.
Came in this. I didn't know. So I put on there.
The ladies in the kitchen did a fantastic. If our family would get larger, we'd have more reunions here, wouldn't we? Oh, you didn't like that? If you do have a program with you, you might want to look on the program and see what we're going to be doing. A couple things have been added. We will begin this afternoon with some music. We'll be entertaining ourselves for the most part. Nolan's in charge of the music. Nolan is the son-in-law of Sarah and Vernon Detweiler. So Nolan, I'll turn the music part over to you this time.
We debated a little bit as to how we might utilize some of the songs that Grandma Mosemann, Landis or Kurtz, depending on which side of the table you're sitting at. Enjoy. In the little song sheet that you have on your table, we have copied 3 of some of her favorites. And instead of calling for a choir out of this group, since some of you that I know came an awful long way and I really didn't want in the choir, I wouldn't want to pick you out by not calling you, so we will just all be the choir, and that'll take care of that. So if you will take that song sheet, and the first song that was a favorite was Open the Wells of Salvation, and we'll do this a cappella, so everyone must do your part for this to be successful. We'll say something about the little pole on the front thing as well. Lord, I am falling, earnestly longing into thy holy light to go, searching for and deeper communion, yearning thy love more fully to know. Oh, the well of grace and salvation, pour the sweet stream into my heart, and the divine one and love and affection, seal me and make me pure as thou art. Into the world, ideal Father, then to sin of life to thee, crucify all the earthly within me, and give sin and self may I be. Open the well of grace and salvation, pour the sweet stream deep into my heart, and revive my love and affection, seal me and make me pure as thou art. I would be thine and serve thee forever, filled with thy spirit, lost to thy love. Come to my heart, Lord, come to thy anointing, showers of grace and down from above. Open the well of grace and salvation, pour the sweet stream deep into my heart, and to revive my love and affection, seal me and make me pure as thou art. As we turn to the back of the sheet, another favorite, perhaps, I tell you, we had an advantage, Eugene's and Barvin's, Mildred and I, of sitting down with Sarah and John and getting some feedback from Amelia as to Grandma's use of some of these songs. But she would sing them or hum them, and they added some other colorful stories with them occasionally that would take too long to go through today. But anyway, on the back of the sheet, I think we'll just sing verses 1, 3, and 4 of this.
Make me
Sarah's son Albert to join me. I am substituting this afternoon for my son-in-law on a piece that you will find the words to on the front of this book. It's a page. This is a poem that was given to Maria Herr by Michael Mosemann, the great-grandparents of Kendra. Kendra set this to music and sang it to Jim, and the chorus, Jim responded appropriately. He did that once, and that was enough. So supposedly I'm one of the two men in Kendra's life, so I will sing the response, and we'll let Jim sit back there and approve or disapprove.
Song that's on there, we will sing that near the end of the program, right before the benediction. On the agenda, we have the introduction of families, and following that, we have a time for remembering. And during that time for remembering, we want you to share stories you've heard, share things of interest to you. We don't really have a time schedule. Some people ask how long the program would last today, and I really don't know. we will go through it. We will take enough time. We won't try to rush. After the benediction this afternoon, that will be the time that our formal meeting ends. After that, we certainly have until tomorrow morning at about 9:30, where the church will need to be cleared up for services in Sunday school, which you're welcome to stay for that too. Right. So you have plenty of time this afternoon and this evening to continue your visiting, and you certainly may feel free to come and go at that point as you would like to. I think it would be interesting to know how many states we have represented here today. I know we have at least one foreign country. So I'll name the states that I've heard so far, and I'm sure I've missed some of them. But when I call the name of that state, please raise your hand, wave it. You don't need to salute that state flag, but just raise your hand. I guess we'll start with Maryland because that's where we're located, and I know quite a few of us are from Maryland. So the state of Maryland, raise your hand. Everybody take a good look. Okay, that's quite a number. State of Virginia. It's running pretty high too, running pretty good. Okay, I'm not sure what the next state would be as far as, well, let's go to Michigan, I guess. Michigan, 4 with Michigan. 5? Oh yeah, okay. Pennsylvania? 3, Michigan beat Pennsylvania. Okay, New York? 2 from New York. Better throw Colorado in here. I think we've got several families from Colorado. There's one guy that came twice from Colorado. Okay. Wisconsin? 1 from Wisconsin. Okay, would you be further away than the folks from near Denver? No. Okay. What other states? Ohio? Okay. Oh! 5 from Ohio, all right. Tennessee? Oklahoma? Is anybody counting?
California.
Oklahoma. Getting close to 48. Okay, Indiana? Hands up, Indiana.
California. Jersey over there.
Illinois? New Jersey? How many from New Jersey? 2? Okay. Any other states? All right. We do have a couple from Africa. And Donald will be giving a little bit of our family history at this point. And he's probably the newly as wed here today, and I think Donald would like to introduce his wife. So Donald, I'd like for you to come forward and introduce your wife and tell us a little bit about our family history. Donald Kurtz.
Aren't you going to take her in here?
No. Thank you. I'm still trying to figure out why I got selected for this job. Only got back into things Wednesday of this week, and there was a note waiting for me to call Marvin. And so what he was doing, he wasn't inviting me to dinner, he was inviting me to make a speech. He has given me one item on the agenda, and that is to introduce the newest member of the family, and that is my wife, Nicole. You should now stand up, please. Nicole is from Mauritius, and if you don't know where that is, get your atlas, your encyclopedia out, look at the Indian Ocean, and you can find a tiny little island out in the middle of the ocean. That's where she's from. We met in Malawi about 3 years ago, and we were married last September. And one of the things we're doing is introducing our new family, that is she and I, to all our relatives. Now, in trying to figure out what to say today, I'm looking at all the families here and those cousins and relatives I don't know. I decided I have to remind Marvin of
one of his faux pas that he made a couple of years ago, which I had the privilege of helping to embarrass him on. I'm reminded of this because there are so many cousins and relatives here that we sort of should know, who are walking up to us and saying, "Hello, how are you? Don't you remember when?" And I'm certain that I'm not the only one that's having blank faces. Well, a few years ago, I was sitting in the back of the church, and I think Kenny or Keith was sitting beside me. And just at the beginning of the church service, some young man walked in and sat down beside us, between us, and we were sort of chatting with him while Marvin was up on the pulpit as the worship leader. And as part of the tradition here at Holly Grove Church, we introduced all the visitors. And Marvin's looking back at this young man sitting between Keith and I, was it? Right? You don't remember this. So Marvin looks back there and says, "Donald, why don't you introduce your friend?" And I said, "Well, Marvin, you could do it just as well as I can because he's your cousin, too." Where are you, Ron? You remember that. Marvin tried to hide behind the pulpit because he realized who it was about the time I started saying it. I asked Marvin what he wanted me to do, and he said, "Well, read the Mosemann book and tell us something about the history." Well, we can all read the Mosemann book, but I did look at it in the last couple of days, and there are several things that stand out in looking at that. Our family history is one thing. There are some things that impress you as change in life and health of all of us here. If you go through that book and you go through any of our genealogical books, you will notice the number of young deaths in the family, the children who die, the adults who die at young ages, and we have that in our family. Our grandmother, Mosemann, I have to be careful. A couple times slipped today and said grandmother Moses. I don't think our grandmother was a painter. But she was married twice. That's why we have the divergence of families here. Several of her children died. The first two Landis children, I believe, died at the age of 10 and 12. There are at least one more who died in infancy. The blessing that we have now of better health, a better food supply, I think it's just very short review of the book should impress upon us the blessings for which we should be thankful. The other thing that I noticed was our forefathers on the Mosemann side who came to the States. We look at them and we see preachers and farmers. And I'm looking at this group, and I only know of one active farmer. Are there any more besides Eugene? Any other farmers here? And one active preacher. Any other preachers besides one of my other brothers? The divergence in which we have moved in the last 100 and some years, what our livelihoods and our callings in life. But still, as our grandmother Mosemann set a pattern for us, many of us work in various types of service professions where we serve our fellow men, and I think that is one of the most important lessons that are passed on to us. I cannot stand up here and give firsthand reminiscences of grandmother Mosemann because I was the last, as I understand, of the grandchildren to be born while she was alive. And in trying to figure out why Marvin and the others asked me to do this little job, I finally justified it in my own mind by saying I am the last of the grandchildren that she knew, so I am the dividing mark in this group of people. And so all of you that are under 44 years of age have no chance of having known her. And I hope later in this afternoon, there will be some reminiscence, which I can't do. So, in summary, just let me say that in the last 100 years, our lives have changed. We hope for the better. We are healthier and stronger, and we follow our ancestors' traditions of working to serve our fellow mankind. Thank you.
Thank you, Donald. Grandma did a good job with Donald. She's sent him around the world 4 or 5 times already. I don't know how many more times he'll get around, but he is a very famous world traveler. How many of you filled out the green sheet game that we had? Esther, did you have a prize for the people that
Uncle John got his bill.
Uncle John. Uh-huh.
Got yours full. I said the person who got all filled out had to introduce everybody in there.
Oh. That was a surprise, not a prize. One thing that's characteristic of our family, I guess, is some of us are hard of hearing. Some of us can only hear out of one ear, and some out of 2. So, you need to speak up. When you introduce your families today, you might want to come up here and use the microphone. I don't know who you've chosen in your family to do the introducing, but really need to speak up so everybody can enjoy what is happening and what is going on today. We'll do that at this time. Before we go into a time of reminiscing, a time of remembering, we will need someone from each family to come up and introduce the people in your family. Okay, guess we need to start with the Landis side, since they were the first to arrive, first to get here. We'll start with this side of the chart and work all the way across. Okay, who's going to be introducing Harvey's family? I want to get this right. Please forgive me that when you're here, we certainly want to see you, so either stand or smile or raise your hand. Stand. Stand.
I'm Dale, for those of you who don't know me already. Unfortunately, my wife Sue is unable to be here today, so I'm representing my own family today. I have my next oldest brother Ken and his wife, Ken and Hazel, from New York State. And the next who we have here is my sister Esther Bittinger, and her husband Emmert from Virginia, Bridgewater, Virginia. Emmert is on the faculty at Bridgewater College, in the sociology department, and Esther is a retired reading specialist. Oh, sorry, Ken. Ken is recently retired farm implement dealer. What else, Ken? Construction.
After 32 years with a Badger Northern Company, and I had my finger in lots of things. I was very hard improvement tester for 10.5 years, and I've been carpenter, mason, plumbing, electrical. We just remodeled the upstairs in our big building I sold equipment out of for an apartment last year. So we have 1 bedroom, but we've got a camper. About 2 years ago, we bought a 35-foot fifth-wheel camper, big 6, by the way, and we expect to be doing some traveling, either with or without Spencer Road.
My sister Dorothy is unable to be here, but her daughter Thelma and Sujoy Banerjee are here. Sujoy, would you tell us what you do?
We have a business of our own in computers. Thelma and I both work with it, and we have good communication.
then my sister Bertha, or Glenn, sorry. Glenn is actually the next in line. Glenn and Vivian, where are you? Glenn and Vivian and Mike, their son, from Arlington, Virginia. Glenn is a specialist in nuclear medicine, and Mike is what? Salesperson? No, that's Richard. Sorry. Research for NIMH. And what are you doing now, Vivian? I can't keep up. Personnel director for a bank. Okay. My youngest sister Bertha and her husband Bob Drew from Michigan, and their son Carl. Carl is a student at Davenport Business College in Grand Rapids. Bob is a retired manual arts instructor, and Bertha is retired, classroom aide, still not retired. Okay. Somebody else is okay. Well, that kind of sums up the Landis family. With regard to Grandma Kurtz, she was with us for an important period in our lives. After our mother had died, I was the oldest of 6 children, and we had a lot of trouble for a while finding and keeping housekeepers that were reliable and suitable. And so things were much better when Grandma Kurtz came to live with us. This occurred about the time we moved from Tampa out into the country, a little town called Mango, about 12 miles out of Tampa. And we weren't really well off at that point. This was back in the 30s. Those of you who know the 30s, may remember what kind of times that was. One of those years, my dad, who was a manual arts instructor himself, had only 5 months of teaching pay for that year because of economic conditions. And so we learned to scrimp and save and live on sweet potatoes, which were plentiful at that time, it seems. And I can still remember, pardon? Sweet potatoes and cabbage. Don't forget the day old bread.
Right. We used to get day old bakery bread for 2 cents a loaf. And it was not only good for us, but it was good for the chickens and the rabbits and for whatever else we had. So we moved to the country where we could have a little garden and a truck farm and some livestock. And the house, well, actually, the place we moved to was more like a barn than a house. It consisted of a frame covered with corrugated aluminum, which was, more like a barn actually than a house. And I remember as we began remodeling this place, the first room we fixed up was a bedroom for Grandma. And when she came to live with us then, things were much more orderly. Being experienced with families as she was, we ate a lot better. Being an experienced parent as she was, she kept us in line better than we had been. So that I don't remember a lot of anecdotes, but I remember a few of the things that she used to say when she wanted us to snap to, which I won't repeat.
But she was a very gracious lady. I remember her for her warm-hearted, simple enjoyment of life. It didn't take much to please her. She was friendly with everybody. She made friends with neighbors, friends at church. And, remember during this time, Uncle Jim lived with us for a brief time. I forget exactly how long that was. This was before he was married. And he was doing some dating on that. And about the most I remember was him getting teased about dating and about borrowing Dad's car and having a minor accident with it one time. So those were interesting times for us. And until Dad remarried, Grandma Kurtz was really a VIP in our lives. And we thank her and you all for sharing her with us. Thank you.
Elmer's family. You didn't share with us what your occupation was.
Oh. Sorry about that. I'm a clinical social worker. I was for 20 years in a mental health clinic in Wisconsin. Before that, I was a child welfare worker. Right now, for the past 4 years, I've been in a residential treatment center where I left the boys who've been through the court system. And my job is to work with boys individually. These are youth who have had problems with drugs and alcohol. And I work with the youth in their families.
I'm Mark Landis. I'm Elmer's oldest son, and I am the sole survivor of our family who left. My brother having died about 8 years ago from a massive myocardial infarction at age 48. And my sister died 4 months after my parents died of acute pulmonary embolism, massive pulmonary embolism. I'm here with my wife Nancy, and stand up, Nancy. We've just finished celebrating 37 years of marriage, and we have 3 children. Gregory, who is in his 3rd year of cardiovascular surgery at Grand Rapids Metropolitan Hospital, and he is married. They have no children. They have 2 cats and dogs. And we have a second son, Jeffrey, who lives in Winston-Salem, and he is an executive chef, but he has acquired multiple sclerosis in the last 2 years, confined to wheelchair. And we have a daughter, Emily, that Jeff's married to a wonderful woman named Linda, who is just remarkable, taking care of him and helping out with their marriage. And we have a daughter, Emily, who is at the University of Maryland, getting her PhD in geochemistry. She is spending also part of her time working with the National Bureau of Standards. I am a radiologist. I have retired 2 weeks ago, so I'm trying to find out what retirement's all about. I'm following Bob's footsteps there. He told us last year he was going to retire, so we kind of decided to follow in his footsteps. What do I remember about Grandma Kurtz? Grandma Kurtz, as you know, of all who know my father, our house seemed like an open house. people always came to visit us, both on my father's side of the family and my mother's side of the family. And I remember Amelia coming. She came one time with Eugene, and they stayed for a while with us at that time. And she also came with, I think, Sarah and Amelia, her daughter, one time. I can remember Eugene when he was about this high and running around. There's a picture of him back there when he was there. And, you know, he looks just like that today. Just delightful and bright-eyed running around. My remembrance of my cousins, because we used to go with Harvey, my father's brother, build a trailer in our garage on Tennessee Street where we lived. And that was about 33, 34. And then we took the trailer and we went on a business party down Florida. And Bertha gave me a postcard that my father wrote to her father after he came back. And it was very nice to have a medal like that. I remember visiting them too. I was, Dale was over and Kenneth was over and Miriam was over. So I was a little guy and I looked at these kids with Greg. You know, these were big kids. And I remember when Walt died, why Bertha said Dale was coming to the funeral, you know, and oh boy, he must be tall, you know. And he came in and I realized that your perception of childhood, of your relationship with your relatives, or something very fixed in your mind. You don't really picture them changing and growing and all these things. And it was just great to get to know and come and be here and see all of you. Just your names, your faces come through my lifetime when I was very young. And I'm fortunate to be able to come here and see you and renew our friendship. Because I remember each of you in all various places that you lived or that you came to our house. And I know that everyone's life there is a lot of good things and there's a lot of bad things that have happened to us. And it's only through God that we survive it. And thank you for the opportunity to be here and for getting together and having somebody whisper into your ear and have this thing. I think it's just been remarkable. Thank you.
Nolan just said they didn't really whisper in John's ear, they yelled at John. Excuse the mic, please stand close to it, because like I said before, some need a little bit more volume. Okay. David's family.
Okay, I'm Miriam, David's oldest child. I've been appointed by a committee of one to do this afternoon. My sister Ginny, and our brother Dixon in Cincinnati, and Ann lives in Flint, Michigan, and Barb lives in Battle Creek, Michigan. Ginny lives in Whitman, Ohio, near Akron. She works in data processing for Bank Nation. She has 3 daughters and 1 son. And 1 grandson. Oh, Jimmy, you're to stand up. Okay, and I'm here with my husband Paul. Okay, Paul worked in printing. He was in layout and design and printing at the Church of the Brethren General Offices in Skelton, Illinois. He was there 23 years. Then he worked the same at Manchester College. We were in Manchester, Indiana for 16 years. I worked most of the time that I worked after we had children in the hospital, in Elgin, in admitting, and in the Manchester Clinic for 10 years. Dale, my remembrances of Grandma Kurtz are the same as yours. I remember one time we were visiting here, and I think it was at Aunt Sarah, right? No, Aunt Amelia. You lived here, right? And we were visiting you, and I shared a bedroom with her. It seemed like it was a very large bedroom with a number of beds in it. Is that correct? You remember that? And anyway, I remember one morning I woke up and turned around, and there I saw Grandma on her knees praying by the bed. And I'll not ever forget that. I've told the story to several of you, but I have to tell it again because I think it's really fun. One time, Grandma and Eugene, and I suppose Uncle John, was at our house in Batavia, and we were having Sunday dinner, and Mother had candles on the table, and Eugene decided he wanted to eat those. And he wanted to eat them, and Grandma tried to tell him, no, that's not to eat, that's just to look at it, it's made of wax, and you don't eat it. Well, he really, really cried, and she says, well, take a bite. He didn't keep it in his mouth very long. We're really glad to be here too, Paul and Jenny and I look forward to this for many months. I thought the day would never come, and I just appreciate it more than anyone will ever know.
Thank you very much. The Landis side of the family. Now we'll move to the church side. My sister Doris, who is older than I am, by the way. Bertha made a mistake today. It really embarrassed me. She somehow thought that Doris, that I was older than Doris. I'm going to go home and stand beside Doris and look in the mirror, and we'll get it straightened out. Doris will introduce Amelia's side of the family. Doris?
Well, I guess I'll start with our parents, Fred and Amelia. Amelia is the oldest of Grandma Kurtz's children that are living. Guess we're on this today.
Maybe I should have
See, Dad's 87, and Mother's 81. She stopped at 80. Okay. We had an older brother, Lawrence, that was killed in a plane crash in '69. So I'm now the oldest in our family. And I was married 6 years ago to Jerry Henderson out in Oklahoma. Met him out in Oklahoma. And I'm working with the Indian Health Service, have been for a number of years now, and working with the Cheyenne Arapaho tribe in western Oklahoma. And Jerry, I keep him busy building our log house down in southeast Oklahoma most of the time. He's been working on that. And then Marvin is married to Pat. She was a Mulhagen from Kansas, and somehow he persuaded her to come to Maryland. I don't know how. He got her out here. Yeah, he told, And they have 3 children. David is the oldest. David, Danny, and Joelle. David is in college at Messiah College. Danny will be going to Heston College in a few weeks. And then Joelle is in high school and goes to Lancaster Mennonite School. elementary or middle school principal, and Pat teaches school here at the Christian school just behind the church here. Then our younger sister, Betty, where's Betty? Oh, there's Betty. Betty is married to Willis Summers, who is from Illinois. And they have 2 children, Jenny and Matthew. Matt. There's Matt. Betty and Willis both teach at Bluffton College, and they're in Bluffton, Ohio. I guess that's our family. As far as remembering Grandma Kurtz, I remember her quite well. She lived in our home some and worked out, taking care of an elderly lady, but she would come and stay with us sometimes on weekends. And one of the things that sticks in my mind is one Halloween, Lawrence and Millie and Albert and I think it was, had gotten some false faces, and we had a lot of fun trying to scare Eugene. And Grandma Kurtz didn't like that very much. She really got after us for that. I don't think she approved very much of Halloween false faces and all that, but especially scaring Eugene. That was very nice.
Songs and everything. Sarah's family, Mildred.
All right, first of all, Mother and Daddy, Sarah Vernon. You want to stand? No, Daddy doesn't have to.
I don't think you can stand up.
Okay. I'm the oldest in the family, and since Lawrence is gone, I'm the oldest of the cousins. I've been teased by my age for a long time, but when I look at all these cousins, I see a lot of salt and pepper and a lot of bald, and my hair is natural color. All right, I'm married to Nolan Good, who is a sales rep for Quasar, and I grow broiler chickens for Purdue. We have 3 children. First, Kenny. Where's Kenny? There's Kenny. Kenny's our oldest son. He's a building contractor. Donna? She's gone. All right, they have 2 children. Steph, who's over there in a pink outfit, and Max. Donna's just not working now. She's a secretary, and she's staying home with children. Our second son, Keith. Keith is a VOTEC teacher. He's married to Karen, who is a social worker. And they have 1 daughter, Katie. Our daughter, Kendra, and her husband, Jim Rittenhouse, from Pennsylvania. Kendra's a music major from Eastern Mennonite College, and Jim is an accountant.
What's the more of us?
Right! Yes, then, I forgot. I thought I was just doing my family. All right, then we have... All right, my brother, Albert. He's married to Anna Mae. Albert is the household administrator at La Honda. Anna Mae is an LPN. They have 2 sons, Greg, and he's at the Heston College, and Doug, who will be going to Goshen College this year. My baby sister, Carolyn. Married to Mel Sternholm. Carolyn is an RN, and Mel is an endocrinologist. They have 3 children, Sherry, who's not here with us this weekend, and Kim, who's at Goshen College, and Ricky. Is Ricky in?
He's running around.
He's running around. Okay.
John Kurt's family. And now we get to see Eugene. I'm the beloved one. When Dad asked me if I remembered anything about Grandma, the only thing I can remember about her, and she took care of me for about 6 years when I was born. They say that's supposed to be the most informative years of your life. But anyway, she made this nice soup one day, and I didn't like it at all. It didn't make any difference to her because she made me eat it anyhow. So that's really one of the only things that I really remember. And someone asked me a while ago which end of the candle I bit when it was given to me. I don't remember that little incident. I am Eugene Kurtz, and Dad, where is he? Oh, okay. John Kurtz, my dad, and Susie, would you stand, please? Let's see, where did I go? Oh, okay, my wife, Kathy. And we have 3 daughters, Heidi, Diane, and Krista. See, my dad had all sons, and all his sons have all daughters. Okay. The next brother was Don Kurtz and his wife Nicole. Since they've only been married a year, they don't have too many children yet. Oh, okay. What are you doing in Africa, Tom? I don't think so.
No, we haven't got our honeymoon yet. I'm the representative in Malawi for Save the Children Federation. We do community development programs oriented to assisting children and their families to improve their lives and well-being.
And Calvin, who is living in Indiana, introduce your family for us. Sue.
My wife Sue, my daughters Angie, and Maria, and I'm a sales service representative for Honda Systems. We sell and service Simco, nailers, and shit. My wife is at home.
Someone asked me earlier who the little blonde-headed boy was. It was my brother. And I said, well, it's Calvin, but his head isn't blonde anymore. You'll have to ask him about that. And Douglas, which is the youngest of the boys, would you stand and introduce your wife?
My whole
Jenny?
family is my wife, Jenny. And I'm with the Salvation Army, and I guess I have a distinction, as Donald said earlier, being the only pastor, I guess, or only minister in the family, I guess, in the family life.
That completes the John Kurtz family. James Kurtz family, better known as Jim for all of us. Who's going to be speaking? Ann, are you going to have the honors, or one of your daughters? Phyllis?
Tom said earlier he was the last of the grandchildren born during Grandma Kurtz's time, and I guess I'm the first of the group after that, because I was born the following year after she passed away the following summer. My mother is here, Ann Kurtz. I'm sure all of you know Father passed away in December, and he was really loved to be good. And then I am Phyllis Jordan. My husband was not able to be here. We live in Colorado Springs, Colorado. I am a registered nurse, and I work in the operating room. I'm the assistant head nurse there, and also in charge of our open heart program, of which we do a little over 200 open heart surgeries a year also. My husband is a salesman for a local lumber yard. We have 2 boys, Mark, who is here. He's our youngest, he's 10. And Wes is out somewhere running around. And he doesn't look at all like me, so you won't be able to know which one he is.
He looks like this.
The next sister to me is Carol, and she is not here, nor is any of her family. They live in the Chesapeake, Virginia area. And she has 3 sons, Evan, Jesse, and Galen. And
They raise peaches, which they're very busy at this time in, and she is also a part-time principal for the local parochial school there, and so she's busy trying to get the school year started also. Next is Sharon, and Sharon Nussbaum and her husband Bill Nussbaum, and Sharon is in real estate in Norfolk, and Bill is an attorney. And then is Betty, and she lives in Scottsdale, Pennsylvania, and works at the publishing house there. And we were known for many years as the Kurtz girls, and then there was the Kurtz boys, and now there's all the girls on that side of the family, and there's only grandsons on our side of the family, so we've kind of reversed things. So, and then Ron, yes, and he's our baby brother. And he is an electrician, and he lives in Fort Smith, Virginia.
Thank you, everyone. It's really been a lot of fun to get to know who we are and hear a few stories. And it is story time now. We want to move into some more of the remembering times, things we've remembered or stories we've heard about Grandma or anything of our families that any of you would like to share. If you want to stand where you're seated and speak up real loud, that will be okay. If you would like to come up to the microphone, I would like for you to do that. I hope that John Kurtz will come up. One of the fun things we had was getting together to discuss what we were going to be doing today, and John would tell us a lot of funny stories about Grandma. So I hope John is prepared to do that today. I was pretty young, but I do remember, I guess, two things about Grandma. I remember that she was a very sweet person. I don't ever remember being paddled or even scolded by her. I do remember going to the window. I was scolded. I do remember going to a window one time, and she took me to the window, and we looked out the window, and there was my dad holding up a couple rabbits and holding a shotgun, and his little big old rabbit dogs jumping up looking at these rabbits. And I remember one time that she just sat back in her chair and laughed and laughed and laughed. We were trying to put my pants on, Grandma and myself, and I had these short pants with huge legs, and I got both legs in the same pant leg and started to run away, and she thought that was hilarious and just laughed and laughed and laughed about that. So that's really about the only two things I remember. But she was a sweet person. We've heard a lot of good stories about her, and John, maybe it'd be appropriate if you would come up at this time and tell some of these funny stories that you told us when we were over at Sarah's planning program. And then following that, I would like for you to chime in and share some of these experiences for the whole family.
Marvin, while he's coming out, I got back here and sat down. My family chewed me out already. Kathy is a special ed teacher. I have two oldest daughters have gone to Eastern Mennonite. Krista's still in high school. Now, what do you do? Besides raise girls. Try to keep them straight.
How much she likes to laugh. You know, if we see Marvin jump around there with both these legs going pants, I gotta think we don't laugh. Diane, stand up.
What?
Yeah, stand up. Oh. You can marry, Well, she likes to laugh. She likes good, clean jokes with humor to them. And like she laughed at Marvin, she often laughed. And said it's good for a person to laugh. I believe it's true, too. And she always gave us tender, loving care, but she was firm, too. I found that out one day. My sister wouldn't have screamed when I got by with her. She said, "Doesn't them teeth work on my arm?" Sarah was back. Well, it wasn't long until I found out how firm she was. And, you know, one day she sent us on a buggy ride. was to drive a horse. She was oldest. And then we had to get some apples. Well, she stopped the horse there in the buggy. After we got the apples, and she didn't know how to turn the horse around. So she went out in front of the horse and got a hold of the bridle. She didn't allow for the big feet the horse had. The horse stepped on her foot. It got all blue. She cried too. But them apples, my mother, she would dry them apples and make, she called half-moon pies. And nothing tasted so good as those half-moon pies. My mother, she used to help the little babies. She took a buggy ride one night and she didn't laugh. I lived over here where the mills lived. Some man lived over, way out that way, come over there. They'll come around there a few weeks before, one that she got. So one night I got awake, I heard all this commotion outside. What's happening going on? So I finally called. And he's trying to hurry my mother up, get ready to go. And she can't see in the dark. One time walking down the road here in the dark, some water puddles there, and every once in a while I hear her step in the water puddle. I said, well, follow me, and you won't step in. I said, over this way. She said, if I could see you, I could see the water puddle. Anyway, we went back through that woods, and man, he was getting all the speed out of that horse he could, I guess. She couldn't see it for me. So, next morning, she found out he was there. You better go out there and see if that horse will stand up this morning. She said, hey, he got right sober for a while, but he soon come back on full course. Well, you know, my mother, she worked a lot. Last year, I told her, she didn't work so hard, you don't have to. And the answer she gave me is what I can say for myself today. Haven't accomplished much, so I want to keep on trying. What you all really do. Thank you for being here. And Esther, she's no more work with us than I did. Thank you.
Thank you, John. Yes, we do want to recognize everyone who's contributed today. Sometimes you go naming names and people get left out, but Esther, you certainly did do a lot of work, and we really do appreciate that. John wasn't to close this. He was just supposed to be one of many of you who will share. So I'd like for some more to share about Grandma. One thing that I was told, and I can see by the pictures of Grandma, she was one who liked to wear shawls, and she had them stored at our house in a trunk. And unfortunately, that was burned when our house burned down. So we don't have anything, of that nature to display that she had. Certainly want everyone to look at the pictures and enjoy those pictures. There's some really interesting ones there. And John gets credit for making the tray, the rack that the pictures are on. Someone else like to share, please?
I forgot to mention that my wife has been a hairdresser for over 40 years. The life of a hairdresser in the hairdressing business is only about 10 years. So she's got quite an accomplishment that way. Also, I'd like to say is I think this is a great. I like to see things like this, and I hope we have many more.
Is that a are you volunteering? Yes, Esther. Come on up to the mic.
When I was working on the chart, I was interested to know how many descendants Grandma Miriam had had. And so I made a little tally here. And on the Landis side, there were 92, not counting the two, Abram and Uriah. That would be 94 on the Landis side that descended through grandmother. On the Kurtz side, there were 46, not counting Lydia Irene, that would be 47, making a total of 141 descendants. And I'm sure there were a few other babies that died in infancy and so forth that I didn't have a count of. I was going to make a few notations of things, if you found errors in the Mosemann book, and I know of one. Our stepmother, it says that she was born in Zeeland, Michigan. I don't know how that got in there, but that's a mistake. I want to know if anyone knows the burial place of Abram and Moriah. Mrs. Mosemann has Halifax in there, but I asked Ira Good to look for the graves. He knew the farm where they lived down there in South Boston. And he went over to the cemetery, and it was not a Kurtz cemetery, it was a previous family, Chastain's. Irene, Lydia, is buried at the Mennonite church. She must have been buried there before the church was built. Ira did look up that one. But does anyone know where the other two children are buried? They died before the Mennonite church was built there, I think. If anyone finds out, now Mrs. Mosemann has Halifax, and I'm sure that's because the Kurtzes lived down there. Do you know, John?
I think we visited up there just a few weeks ago.
I think if anyone else knows of any errors in the book, it would be good for us to write those down now, and we can correct those things. It's been fun working on it.
Give a hand there. Thank you. Anyone else? Ann? Good. John, you want to say something while Ann's coming out?
I think we did it in Lancaster County. Mom and I was there one time, and I think she told me that's where they buried her. A lot of them buried in my heart, so
This is not my cup of tea, but anyway, we were married 1 year before grandmother first died, and she was with us for 1 week. And she told me that, told me all about her family, and she also told me that when her first husband died, that her family thought she should put her children out and take practice nursing, nursing, get nursing certificate for that, so she did. And she said she wasn't able to get all Mennonite homes for her children, so that's why she feels like that's why Harvey was spreading, because he was raised on the top. And of course David wasn't born in Canada. I remember one thing when I was there. At that time, that was in 1942, and 35 cents was a lot for cantaloupe. But she enjoyed them so much, Jim kept bringing them home. Don't you let her know how much they cost, or she won't eat them. And then I was here 2 weeks and helped take care of her before she died, too. I was glad to do that. Then I went to home and did some meeting. But Harvey was at all place when his mother died. He had been down this way to buy some things for his children. He came home, and then he got that call that evening. Then he came back and stood with us. And I remember that Elmer was, while I was with your mother, that Elmer came and spent a few days. And he said, now, when she passed away, I was having babies because I've been here. And I'm glad to be part of this family. I want to always be part of this family. And thank you.
This is just one little thing, but I remember one morning Grandma got up and she says, "My, wasn't that a wonderful storm we had last night?" And I came to find out that wonderful man, a terrible thunderstorm.
I'll go. Well, that's my one of the fireworks. They had the German and the Pennsylvania Dutch and the English mixed up. They had the V's and W's. They go to the bell, get some water. V, W should be, you know. And his song in here, you know, some years ago, they had a radio to turn on and he'd go to bed and wake you up singing. Well, my mother used to wake me up singing these hymns. Go down in the kitchen, get some breakfast, and sing.
I'm just saying that when we were kids, Uncle Elmer used to send gifts for a few years there for him. Well, I'll tell you, this is one of the little gifts that I had gotten from them that I treasure. Now, I should have taken this doll to the doll hospital because I just picked up on it. This is a doll that was Lydia. And then finally, Nolan was out to Phoenix one year for a convention, and he went to Uncle Elmer's to visit. Soon after he came home, you see the package, and here are some note cards that she had painted and sent to me. And then he also sent us a painting of his, of Camelback Fat Mountain.
Sarah, don't you want to, John only remembers that one time that he was paddled. Don't you want to tell that time when he was chasing Mom around the table when she was taking care of Lydia and you girls got in trouble? Or why don't you come up and tell that story?
When he was chasing who?
Well, who was he chasing? Come on up here. Sarah has some tales I think she could tell about John if she'll do that.
I didn't say to say anything, but since Marvin mentioned it, I guess I have to. Someone mentioned that Grandma being firm. Who was it that Grandma was John. Well, my mother had a lot of work. She was always a busy woman. She had 10 children, and she was very busy. So one evening, when John was just little, I don't know how old he was, but Amelia was taking care of him while Mom was getting supper. And I was having some fun. Amelia was carrying him around the table trying to quiet him. Maybe he wasn't feeling well, I don't know. But anyway, he was fussy, which I guess wasn't his position, though, fussy. But this time he was fussy, and I was having fun by playing like I was a dog or something. She was carrying him around the table, and I come barking around after him, and which made him cry all the more. My mama told me to stop it, and it was too much fun. I didn't stop. So I guess she told me a couple more times, and then that was enough. So she gave me a spanking. That's the only time that I can ever remember being spanked by her. And so I went off padding down to the farm where my daddy was. He was pretty easy with us too. I don't ever remember him punishing me, but that's the only time that was when I was being mean to John.
I know that Grandma liked flowers a lot. What kind of flowers, Mom, did Grandma like?
Pansies were one of her.
Pansies?
Her pansies were
Okay. What's on the picture with her over there?
in Florida, it was poinsettias.
Poinsettias?
That was Amelia.
Mom, you have anything you'd like to recall? Okay. Dad, you have a lot of fun dating Mom, did you? Maybe you can relate to some wisdom that Grandma may have given you during those times or something?
I couldn't have much fun because John was always around.
Be good.
He brought me a book one time to read. I sat there and read the book. He never did bring me no one.
Okay. Yes.
I don't know if any of you know that Grandma had a Bible, and it's a German Bible which you're relating to, which has part of the notations in German and in English. And the Bible that I have this copy from is in the hands of Dick Landis, who is in Cincinnati, Ohio. And I had the opportunity of having this Bible for a while when we lived in Dailey, Ohio. And we were able to make some copies from it. And one of the things we found out was that my father celebrated his birthday on the 21st of June. And that wasn't his birthday, it was David's birthday. And my dad was actually born on the 23rd of June. And I don't think he ever knew that because he was separated from the family all the time. And he never had an active record of when he was born. And I believe from what I hear that Dale has a Bible also. So I think those two on our side of the family would have Bibles related to Grandma Kurtz or Landis, whichever side you're on. So if you're interested in some of these things, why I know that Dick would be glad to send you some information on it. I don't know if Dale would also, but he does have a copy of it. I haven't seen his yet, but it's very interesting to go back and read these things. And they describe under what sign you were born, and they describe how you died. Somebody fell out of a cherry tree and died. And, all these are nice little things to keep in the back of your mind.
Sarah, Nolan thinks you had something else to say.
You tell him. That's a big, better not.
Okay, we're getting down close to the last call here. Any great-grandchildren have anything?